Hi everybody and welcome back. We're continuing with my beautiful big canvas, and I've spent some time adding collage elements like I've showed you guys, and because I sort of knew from the start what the layout was going to be, I did place my collage elements sort of in the position where I wanted them. Now it's always a good tip that I can give you guys to make sure that you have enough collage material, that if you sort of get busy with your painting and you start to add a lot of detail and more paint layers to your Buddha, you might lose some of the elements because of that painting process. So it would be really helpful to have more of the material available that you used. Please forgive me, I'm still recovering from my flu, so the lungs is busy clearing. I am feeling better, so don't worry about me, but it sounds worse than it really is. But anyway, so yeah, don't just buy one tissue paper or one roll of something, because you might need to bring some elements back later. I think that's something that I learned through my own processes, is that I wish I had more paper sometimes. Maybe I painted or covered something up that I really enjoyed, and that way you can just bring it back forward again in the future. Okay. So all I'm doing now to paint my Buddha is I'm just using ordinary whiteboard chalk just to sort of plot the whole face and all of the important elements that I want in this painting. Now, how I started this whole sort of layout or composition is I knew I wanted just enough space on the side here for my ear. So I basically used a U shape down here to just indicate the side of the face. And then I wanted to make sure that the eye, which is almost the main feature, is situated where I want it. And I played with my chalk and I created the lines that is pleasing to me, and I sort of plotted out the shape of the eye using my chalk. And then I've been playing with this eyebrow for some time because I just wasn't happy with the shape of it. And I also left some space here for the third eye, and I connected the nose like I taught you guys in the drawing, and I used all of those positions then to place this beautiful lip shape and my little chin and my little Adam's, what do you call this thing? I don't know, this little cleft that I think is beautiful on the chin. So I spent some time yesterday plotting with my chalk, using a wet brush just to define the shape, because the wet brush will then remove the chalk and any areas that I don't want, until I was happy with the placement and the position of all of my elements over here. So now it's become time for me to do this a little bit more permanent. So what I've got here is some water-based acrylic paint markers in my color scheme. You can see that really works well. So instead of using paint or using black or something like that that would really be harsh, I do want to just bring out my facial features here in a little bit more of a permanent way, so that I can begin painting my Buddha, right? So I activated my little brushes here, and I'm just going to lightly go over these lines, and it's okay if it skips here and there, because I want something to be able to plot my face going forward. And this line won't be so thick that it will, you know, take over my entire painting. So I'm just trying to bring over these lines in a way that's beautiful to me. Now sometimes, if the chalk is really thick, like in this case, it can be in the way. So we are just plotting our facial features here. So it helps to sometimes just draw on the outside of the line or the inside of the line. And don't panic if the line doesn't look beautiful to you, or your marker does something that you didn't want it to do, because we're going to paint over this. So we're just plotting our facial shapes so that we can start painting our beautiful Buddha. And whatever isn't working, you can always refine it during your painting process. You could also, if you don't have a paint marker, you could also just thin some paint and use a brush and do it like that. I've really got a thick layer of chalk here. And it will become easier for me as soon as I'm able to wipe it all off. I think that's a nice eyebrow, quite a modern eyebrow. Remember to go over your sides of your canvas if you are using a big one like I am. This is the crease of the eye. And I really like this half closed, half open, meditative eye shape. Now these are the things that frustrated me in the beginning in trying to do a beautiful simple line, and then my materials didn't want to cooperate because my chalk line was too thick. My goodness. I just have to remind myself that this is not the final product yet. Okay, we've got some lines going the outside of the ear. I'm just going to move to the side of my canvas here so it's easier for me. Because the ear goes on the outside of the canvas. That's a little bit easier. Let's try that again. I think that's good enough for me. I will be able to find my face on my canvas now. So I'm going to allow this to dry now, and then I'm going to wipe this entire canvas with a kitchen towel that's slightly damp to remove all the chalk, and then I will just refine the lines by hand again. And when I come back, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to get into this Buddha painting. And we're going to start with adding the depth for the shadows. We're going to make some color choices as far as what colors are we going to use for shadows and which colors are we going to use for light reflection. And we're also going to make a decision on where our light source is coming from so that we can make sure our shadows or cast shadows are in the correct place, right? That's all going to help to add some depth and perspective to the face. So I hope you guys are ready to get into this Buddha painting. I hope that you've prepared your canvases with a beautiful underpainting and that you've watched that video where I showed you guys the various options that you have in creating a beautiful and interesting underpainting. So I'll be right back. Sorry for interrupting your watching, but I've got some news to share with you. By now you should have heard that I've got a Patreon page, and this October I'm starting with my own Buddha painting program called Buddhafull October. Now the month of October is my birth month, and I want to celebrate every year my birth month with painting the Buddha during the month of October. Now I've been painting the Buddha for almost 10 years and it really has a lot of benefits for me personally, but I know that a lot of you have also said that you would like to learn from me or attend a class where I show you how to paint your own Buddha painting. So this is what this Buddhafull October will be all about. So during the month of October here on my YouTube channel, I will be doing a live every Monday evening at 8 o'clock where I will show you a short demonstration of how you could get into painting your own Buddha painting in an easy way. Because, you know, I think a lot of us think that painting a face is really hard because there's a lot of detail, there's a lot of shapes that needs to make sense proportionately in order for it to be a beautiful painting. But I will be doing exactly that. I will be simplifying it for you and showing you how you can approach your Buddha painting in a multimedia kind of way or just using acrylic paint. That's going to be exciting. So all of these lives is absolutely free of charge. Just show up every Monday evening on my YouTube channel at 8 o'clock South African Standard Time, and it will be recorded and it will be available for replay afterwards, but only for the month of October.
because if you want to dive in a little bit deeper with me, there is a lot more that I can offer on my Patreon page. So if you go over to my Patreon, the links are in the description of this video. You can join my Patreon for $5 a month. That's really nothing. It's roughly about 100 Rand a month, and you will have access to exclusive content that I only share on my Patreon page. So what can you expect? On my Patreon page there will be 2 full complete Buddha painting workshops that you can follow along at your own pace to the value of $50 each. And that will always be available for you guys on my Patreon, so you can take your time. And the very first Buddha painting workshop that you will have there is where I show you how to paint this particular Buddha. I use acrylic inks, I use collage. This is just a wonderful project to paint along, and I'll show you exactly how to create the shape. The second one is a painting that I've sold, but I will share an image of that. It's an image of Amitabha Buddha, and it is really also a lot of fun. We dive into some color theory and some interesting techniques to paint that painting. So that will be for my Patreons only on my page. So if you're interested to dive deep into these Buddhafull paintings, then jump over to my Patreon and subscribe today, because you don't want to miss out a single little class and tip and hint that I can give you. Another thing I want you to do is just to join my Creative Heart group on Facebook, because that is where I want you to share your images with me. That is where I can support you and all of the other friends and tribe members that is into this program and what I offer on a weekly basis. So check all of that out. I can't wait to share with you guys. So I'll see you over there.
Alright you guys, I have decided in the end to use my oil pastel to go over these lines after removing the chalk, so that I have a clear indication of where my lines are. Because I've already used that element in my painting, it really just went on smoother like butter. So I find that I'm happy with that. Right, so now it's time to begin playing a little bit more, and I've got here a number 8, what shall we call this, kind of a filbert brush, and I've got a little cup, and I've dispensed in here a violet, dark Cezine violet ink, acrylic ink. So, okay, let's talk about this color scheme just again quickly to recap for you guys. My main color or beginning color is green, and the complement color for that is my red or pink. And then one of the accent colors is violet. So I'm going to use my violet because it's cool as my shadow color. And that is really going to help bring some definition here. Because you want to use a cool dark color to indicate your shadows. This is my third eye, so in my Buddha paintings I sort of refer to this as my source of light. So everything from this top right corner will be light, and as it basically moves down diagonally, it will give you all the places where there will be shadows. So I'm going to start with my shadows because I find that it really helps to define my face. And one of the places where that will be most obvious is right here next to the nose. So I've sort of diluted my paint a little bit, or this acrylic ink with a little bit of water, just to give it a little bit of fluidity. And I know this is very scary because you think, oh my God, you're going in with the darkest lines immediately. And I know the eyebrow will also be dark, so I'm going to connect this space as if it's one structure. And when you panic like that, it's perfectly normal. Because you might have invested a lot of time and energy in your underpainting, and then it feels like you are covering things up. Yes, yet another reason why I don't like using black. And the ink sort of gives me a watercolor effect, because even though it's dark, I'll show you guys up close just now, it's still very see-through. So you still get all of these beautiful textures and lines underneath. So it will be dark in the nostril and under the nose. And we're going to be defining these spaces as we go. So don't worry too much about it. It's going to be a bit darker under the nose here, so I'm just going to go around, because that space isn't painted too seriously. Now, the top lid in general will be a bit darker than the bottom lid. And again, I can always come in and, brighten things up a little bit. But I find it much easier to work with the shadows from the beginning, because it sort of helps to bring a nice balance to the face from the word go. And then there will also be a nice shadow underneath the lip, and obviously in this little crease here. I don't know what this is called. I must really look. Do you guys know what this is called? When a guy or a person, when a person has this little indentation here that looks like that. I find that really attractive and cute. Then I think we can just define this line a little bit better around the face, because part of this ear will also be in shadow. And also the inside of that crease. Let's just define this hair movement up there. And then also down here in the neck and beneath the chin. That's almost going to be my darkest area, one of my darkest areas. And I really find that it helps to bring the face forward, because we're speaking a little bit less about the neck and shoulders in this particular composition. Now let's go to the eye, and because the eye is going to be closed, this little opening between the top lid and the bottom lid is going to be dark. So the eye is slightly open, not entirely closed like the monks do in meditation to prevent falling asleep. And then I can also accentuate this crease of the eye that helps to form the eyeball in its socket and make this connection of the eyeball socket on the underneath. I think just slightly underneath this third eye, I'm also going to suggest a little bit of a shadow under that. And this way we can say we initiated our serious Buddha painting here. We've really made a commitment, and I just want to encourage everyone, there is an ugly phase to every painting, and we've entered that ugly phase. For a period of time now, as we're going to push and pull between the light and the shadow, playing with the colors that we chose for our canvas, it's going to be a bit of a minute before it's going to be beautiful for you. So when you start with your shadows like this, and it might feel like, oh my god, this is really harsh, don't panic. It will look a bit harsh for a minute, and then we're going to start playing with all of these colors. We're going to make it even darker, and we're going to start bringing in our medium tones and then our highlights, and things are going to start to look up very quickly. So don't panic, just breathe, stay with it, stay with the idea of light and shadow, and if you use these principles that I'm demonstrating for you, I promise you it will begin to make sense very quickly. Okay, so don't give up, don't get freaked out, just stay with it for a minute, and I'm here to guide you. I'll be right back. I just decided to come in close for you guys. It's nice to see from afar what I've done, but I just want to really come in close so that you guys can see what I'm seeing, and you can see the oil pastel I used for the outline, the dioxazine purple that I've diluted a little bit to just give it even more translucency. Dioxazine purple is translucent, but it can also go really dark on you, and it can also be a bit shiny, so just be mindful of that. That's just one of the things of dioxazine purple. But you know what? Purple is one of our colors, so this is the perfect color choice then in this Buddha painting for indicating some line and starting to talk about the shadows that we have on the face and the ear. And I just wanted to share that with you guys so that you can begin to get an idea of where I'm headed with this. So that is a beautiful beginning, and I'm going to be playing with that a little bit more, and then when I come back we will take the next step together.